Welcome to Pool by Design Day 4, brought to you by Diego in collaboration with Potencia Ventures. So thank you very much, Potencia, for making this thing possible.
Hi, I'm Italy. I work for Potencia Ventures, which is an impact investment firm, and we seek for startups that cause positive impact in education and employability. We partnered with Diego de Rodar to provide product market fit content for our community of founders. Enjoy!
And today we're going to talk about blockers. First, a quick recap. We had already 3 sessions that you can watch on YouTube, right? And there we talk about 3 really important things. First, we tend to think that out of everyone that can be our user, the first segmentation should work. Like in the example that we have, tech startups, 20 to 50 employees in the US, that's good. That's not. We have to go one layer down to the second layer, where we know most of the people is not going to switch to the non-default solution, to us. Only the desperate will. So we also learned how to map the desperate using the desperate CI map, the customer instance map, where we are looking at task, context, and solution over time. And that is what creates the inability. When context changes, they can't do something. Then they will try the default solutions. And if they don't work, then they will try us. But it has to work. So we will look at their context, and using the perfect fit map, we will see how to connect their context with our features. Because having the feature is not enough. It also has to be built in a way that addresses the context that they have. Good. So now you can be thinking, okay, if I find my desperate CI and I build a product that is a perfect fit, and of course I get out and I make them aware that we exist with ads or word of mouth or whatever it is, then we can bring our money printing machine and go, brrr, right? Not yet. We need this. The space CI, the perfect fit. We have to make sure that they know that we exist. And that will get us a queue by the door of the store. But for them to really be happy because you solve their inability, they have to adopt the product. They have to go through the adoption journey. So today, we're going to talk about that journey up to that place where the user will be happy. But the journey is not always smooth. So there are challenges until we get there. There are blockers. So first, let's understand what this journey is. And we're going to look at a single person, the journey of one. Right? We tend to look at things in aggregate. Let's start with one. And everything starts with a visit to our website or our app store app page. And they sign up, right? Now, instead of looking at stages like steps, functional steps, let's look at the mindset that the user has. What is the user trying to do, and what does that implies? So here the user is just exploring, okay? Which means it's just curious enough to visit your website. No more, no less. Now, if what she sees makes sense, then she will sign up and will use it for the first time. So what she's trying to do now? She's trying the product. It's like, looks good on paper, now let me play with it. But this is not a user, it's somebody trying. Now, is trying once enough? Imagine that we have a tool to edit photos. So the user comes, likes what they see, sign up, plays and exports the first photo. Is she done? No, she wants to try a lot of things. She wants to play around a lot. So in our example, let's say that she needs to play 5 times, export 5 photos, which of course for your company can be a different number. This example, 5. And then she was playing, but now she wants to use it for real. But is still not using it. She has to integrate. Integrate with what? She has a live, and your product has to fit there. She has workflows, and the product has to fit there too. And other tools that have to connect, and data that has to be migrated. So a lot of things going on here. Until, let's say that is 20 times. This is going to be a long stage. Because, yes, it has to do a lot of things. And 20 in this example is not any magical number, any aha moment. No. This represents a point where she would not have done 20 export photos unless all of this worked. Now she's using, now she adopted the product. But she has to keep using the product. So after she used it 20 times, and as you can see here, we're using kind of thresholds, and now it's frequency. Like, okay, she got to 20, which means she was able to do all of this successfully. And now, let's say we expect her to use it once a week. And this will be all good until she doesn't use it once a week. And then she's gone. So this is the whole adoption journey. When they leave, they became the users of another company, or in our case, people leaving other companies are our explorers. So that was for one. Now let's get to a more familiar view, that is for many. Well, we know that we have a ton of visits, and a few of them sign up, and others don't. And out of the signups, some will use it 5 times, and others will use it once or twice and stop and leave. Some will get to 20, and some to 20 and then keep using it. Now, we tend to look at this and think, okay, I'm losing X amount of people from visit to sign up. What can we do to get more signups? Instead, we're going to look at why they didn't sign up. What was blocking them? So what is important in the funnel is not what is in the funnel, the columns, it's what is not, the gaps, the blockers. And we will have blockers all the way down. And these blockers are going to be different on each mindset stage, each one of these stages. So let's see why. So what is the logic behind all of this? In each mindset stage, the user has different questions. The user is trying to do different things. I'm exploring, I'm trying, I'm integrating. At exploring, some of these questions are, okay, what does this thing do? Like, I'm just visiting it, I need to understand what it is. Is it for people like me? I'm a beginner. Is this for beginners? And I'm a beginner that also has to work with other 2 people, and I have this other tool. Does it all like work? If the answers are positive to all of them, like, yes, I know what it does, it feels like it's for people like me, and it also looks like it will work, then at integration, we will see if it works. So in this case, she goes through. It's like, okay, I'm done with this, now let's play with that. But if the answer is negative, and it has to be negative only for one, then we have a blocker. So a blocker is a negative response. And it's like, yeah, I know what it does, but it doesn't really feel for people like me. I'm not sure. I'm a beginner. Is this for beginners? And I'm not sure if this is going to connect with my workflows. Like, I'm not sure. So, couple of insights here. First, everything that we have, every feature, every element on the homepage, everything adds to the answer. So you can't change each element individually if you have to get positive answers to other questions. So yeah, we like to do A/B test on the headline of the landing page to make sure that everyone understands what our product does. And we achieved that. But still, we are not seeing more signups because it's like, I know what you do, but it's not for people like me. So it's like, okay, let's fix that too. Let's put now a photo of a beginner and let's say somewhere that is for beginners. Yeah, but now the way that we explain it is a bit more technical, so now that is not aligned. No, okay, see, like you can't solve only one part. You have to look at the whole, understand that person, and align all the different pieces. So the answer is positive to all of them. Specific for each CI. Different people will respond differently for each element and versus their situation. So let's see an example here. Segment. The leading customer data platform joined 25,000 businesses that use Segment to collect, clean, and activate the data. Okay. What does this thing do? The data platforming. Is it for people like me? I mean, it's for people, right? People are using it. I don't know if they look like me. Will this work in my... I don't know what it is. I know nothing. But Segment is a default solution. They are actually one of the leading platforms to handle data. And there is a massive difference. People, when they land in this landing page, they know what Segment is, they know what is it for, they know if it is for them, because it's a default. They already know all these things. That is the difference of them versus us, that nobody knows about us. So they can afford to have this crappy landing page and still print money. But we can't. So don't look at big companies to look for ideas of this is how we have to build our landing page or this is how we have to do our onboarding. They will grow despite the city onboarding, the city landing pages, the city everything, just because of their reputation. The solution that wins is the most popular, not the best. They can be really bad. If they build a reputation, they will still print money. So let's see some examples of each one of the stages. So for exploring, we are looking at blockers, right? So we have the question, the negative answer is the blocker, and we already talked about this, don't know what this thing does, doesn't feel for people like me, doesn't look like it will work in my situation. But if C goes through, because that was positive, now what happens? Sign up. What can stop her to use it 5 times? Oh, the very first like killer blocker is like all these tabs that you have in your browser of really interesting things that you saw, but you never find time to check. Yeah, that one. Keep forgetting to try this thing. Or if I remember, okay, I sit down, I want to try it. There are too many things. Like, where do I start here? And even if I have kind of an idea of what to do, I came here because I have a really specific inability. And I don't see how this is going to help me with that. It looks like the other ones that I tested. Remember, our users are going to be desperate CIs, which by definition means that they tried a lot of other stuff. So when they see your thing, or they see with clarity how you're going to help them with everyone when everyone else fails, or you have a blocker. But let's say that that was also positive. So it's like, now let's use it for real. Let's start integrating things, trying to use it with frequency. But I have to migrate all my data, and I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose data, or not everything is going to be imported, or something's going to break. Also, let's say that that works, but now that I'm trying to use it, like it doesn't really fit in my workflow. Like it's too uncomfortable to fit it there. I have to do too many hoops and leaps. So I end up falling back into the solution that I was using before, that I still know that is kind of not working. But I know how to use it when it doesn't work. That is why we need desperate CIs, because they don't have that fallback option. It's like it's not working. Not working bad or I have some pain. No, it's not working. Then they can do that. They will explore something else. And of course, you have to build a habit. And you were using something else for a long time. So you have like a lot of routines that now don't incorporate that thing and you keep forgetting to open it until she uses it 20 times. If everything else is green, not red. So here, usually the reason why like the killer blocker is a context change. Something changed and now I can't use it anymore, which forces me to look for another solution. Now, if this is a summary of the most important blockers, how do we deal with that right now? We think, okay, we have visits, and we have a low conversion rate to sign up. Maybe that is because the sign up form is too long. We have to refine that. Or maybe we put a timer there, like if you sign up in the next like 5 hours, then you get a 10% discount. So that is going to create some motivation, right? Look at this versus this. Do you think that your user is not signing up because your sign up form is 5 fields long, or because he doesn't understand what you do? So the way that we solve it now is we don't look at the blockers. It's like, whatever, I'm gonna do my thing. We just push through them. We just push the users down. We try to manipulate them with things that we call growth hacks. So now the whole thing of improving the funnel became this game of finding what is the next growth hack that just manipulates people, ignoring completely like the root cause of why they are stuck there, the blocker. And if they sign up, but they're not using it, it's like, what can we do here? Like, okay, let's remind them that the trial is expiring. Hey, you just have 2 more days to try this thing or it's closed. So there are so many things to explore and it's going to blow your mind. Again, pushing. They keep forgetting that you exist. They don't know like where to start. It's not about like that the trial is ending. It's like, look, help me. Or let's send them like 10 emails with tips. Like, hey, Diego. But the emails with tips, like maybe that helps them to know where to start or how to use the product so it solves their inability. And you're right. But if that information is so critical that it can become a blocker, it shouldn't be in an email. It should be in the app, right? So no, that doesn't work either. So use it 5 times. We want to use it, them to use it more. Keep coming back. How do we do that now? Of course, give them badges, right? Like that will solve the problem that they are so scared with the migration and that will solve the integration. Like you give them a really good design badge and that's going to solve everything. And of course, the we miss you email that when we are desperate. So 3 things here. The problem with this, which is a sad problem, is that they kind of work a little bit at the beginning. They are manipulation tactics. And yeah, we are easily manipulable. So they work until they don't. Because you keep pushing these things. And you keep pushing people down the funnel. And eventually you run out of growth hacks. You get to a point that is like, what did you do in this last A/B test? Is like, right now the timer is 1 minute. They have 1 minute to get a 10% discount. Now we will get the signups. It's like, what are you doing? The second problem is that when you push, you are creating a false illusion of growth. It's like we made this A/B test and now our sign up is 3x higher, the conversion rate. How many posts did you read about that? Ask the same company question. What about your users? Like how many retained users do you have? And revenue, did it grow? Like No, they now they drop later. We have the signups, but we have 90% of the signups never use the product. It's like amazing. When we are pushing, we are just moving the blockers to the next stage, but this didn't go anywhere. They still have these doubts. They have the question answered in a negative way. They're just going a bit farther just because you are pushing them. And they don't get to the end. So if you want to build, for example, at Exploring, a really good homepage, what you can do is you don't do any push at all. And you keep iterating, trying to understand what is this and trying to align that with the customer instance. And only if you do a good job of explaining and answering these questions that they have, then conversion rate will grow. There are no tricks, no smoke and mirrors. It will only get better if the page is better, is more aligned. So use friction in your benefit. Stop pushing, leave the friction there. Use that to understand, okay, you are stuck. Let me understand why. Let me align that. Instead of you are stuck, yeah, let me force you down. So instead of pushing, let's look at the blockers, spot them, remove them, so the user can pull. He wants to like the solution. He is finding blockers, and instead of listening to them, we are just doing the opposite. Now, we will call this the mindset funnel. What is that? It's a way to represent the adoption journey. But the important thing is the focus is on the blockers. The focus is not on signups and retention, because if we focus on signups, we push to get more signups. If we focus on blockers, we look at them to solve, to remove the blockers. Where a blocker, remember, is a negative answer that are different at each mindset stage, as we stated before. So that also help us know, like, if we have a drop here, the type of problems that they are facing and the type of solutions are going to be related with that set of questions and not the others, which also narrows down like the amount of things that you can do at a given moment in time. Now, if you go to YouTube, there is another video called the Mindset Funnel, okay, that you can also access directly with this. That video talks about similar things like what we saw right now, but more focus on how to build the funnel. More examples there about like these different, what is this 5, this 20, this frequency, how to understand that, and more examples of each, the set of blockers. Now we're gonna keep talking about things that are not in this video, that are more in depth about the blockers and how to play with them. So now let's look at that. Each user has different questions on each stage, and that is clear. Okay. Now, questions like, will it work in my situation? Different CIs can reply in different ways. So this is not just the product in abstract, in absolute. No, it's like always the product versus a group of people. Now, if the answer is we choose one CI, if it's answered negatively, like it doesn't look like it will work in my situation, we will call that a current condition. This is the current condition of that question. Our goal is that they reply in green. It looks like it will work in my situation. We will call that a target condition. So a target condition, or TC, is the future desired state of each question. Look at how we are looking at the questions and the desired state, and not at our homepage and the things that is missing, so we can throw more manipulations there. So how does this thing look like? For Exploring, we can have this. And I will give you at the end the link to the full list. And so you don't have to prepare that. And that list was built after working with easily more than 100 companies and spotting the most common blockers, target conditions. So it's a great starting point, but then you will make it your own. Some things will be more relevant for you, some things will be missing here, but you have a great starting point. Now, we have the whole stage with a goal at the end that is like, okay, if everything here works, then she will sign up or do the first meaningful action. That is the technical name that I explained in the other video. So for trying, same thing. Now, and for integrating and using. Then we will talk with a user. It's like, okay, we have a Desperate CI that came, visited, but didn't sign up. And now we are talking with her. It's like, yeah, I understand what it does. I also understand what I call here the angle, that is like how we do the task that is different than others. Like, yeah, we are trying to make everything super simple and super quick. So, okay, that is your angle. That is like for beginners with a really specific way. But I still don't see how that is going to work for me. So see how some things will work and some things will not. But she didn't sign up. So there is not even trying here. So we will keep talking with people, trying to, first, we will understand the CIs and then categorize what they reply, because each customer instance will reply different ways. Now, look at the wording here. So we have the question, the positive answer, and the negative answer. This is kind of translating the question into this target condition, something that has to be true for her to answer everything positively. And this is are solution agnostic. What does this thing mean? Like, she also has some other questions that she couldn't answer, specific to your product. On top of, I don't see how this thing is going to work. Okay. How do you solve that? Well, maybe you can have more information in the landing page. But you can also do an explanation video, or have a chat box, or a phone number. So understand that these are your toolbox. And you want to achieve this for that person. Now, the way that we look at this is, oh, everyone has a chat box in the homepage. We need a chat box. Let's read this post about what your homepage has to have so it's a great homepage. Like, you have your hero image, and then you have like the headline, and then you have like the chat box, and then you have like the timer. We just keep kind of collecting these adoption features when see a good landing page is not the one that has all these collection of features. A good landing page is the one that answers all these things. And maybe a hero image helps, or maybe it doesn't. Or maybe a chat box helps, or maybe you need something completely different. But we don't think in these terms. We think, I need to put a chat box in the bottom corner. And if nobody uses it, then we have to make it bigger and pop up earlier so people use it. We try to optimize the thing that we shouldn't have there in the first place. Instead, okay, let's try to understand. She still has questions. What is, for that specific CI, the best way to reply these questions? It will depend on the length. It will depend on the complexity. Like, the chat box can be great for some things and completely the wrong solution for others. So instead, look at the whole thing. And then it's like, for this user to answer all these questions and align all the different pieces. Now let's look a bit deeper into integration. Integration is a long stage, and it can be split in two. So early integration is about like migration of data, creating the habit of using it and not forgetting to use it, and integration with workflows. Workflows that you have on your own, that you have with other people, that connect with other tools. Okay, and this happens at the beginning. So it's gonna be like 1, 2, 3 weeks. But then there are, not for every company, but for some companies, there is this second stage that is a byproduct of usage. If you have a product that after some usage, what looked super neat and clean at the beginning, imagine like a task manager. At the beginning, yeah, it looks like, oh, Asana is working great for me. I can see everything. And 1 month later is like, yeah, Asana is not working for me. I don't see shit here. Like, this is a nightmare. Like, I'm lost. I don't know what is pending. I don't know what is, like, I don't know. So careful with this stage. Because when we design our product and we do our wireframes and we do our testing, we usually do it at low volumes. Yeah. Do a stress test to see, is this the best visualization when I have 500 items, not the 5 that I tested? Things change. So remember that this will last weeks even if you don't have this stage. But if you have this, if the product can change both in terms of UX or both in terms of how the perception of value is after some time, then you have to keep that in consideration. And there are also like use indices, but I will give you the link so you can check them all. So now we have the whole thing. And remember, the goal is not pushing users. So our checklist is not, I'm missing reminders and the drip emails and then I'm good to go. No. It's not about adding more of these adoption features, more chat boxes, more timers. No. It's about to help the user adopt the product. And to do that, to get a happy user, that will happen when all the target conditions are green, when they are fulfilled. And now you're thinking, okay, Diego, great, got it about the happy thing. Can we talk about, the money part? Okay, let's do that. Price as a target condition and business model. So let's add this one here. She doesn't see the price business model as a blocker yet. Now, several things. First, remember, solution agnostic, which leads to the first question, that is subscription the best fit for her? Because we do the same thing that we do with the chat box. Everyone has one, we want one too. We do with the business model. Everyone does subscription, we want subscription too. Yeah, but maybe for our users, it's not the best model. And even if it is, how do we define the plan? Remember, perfect fit, not too big, not too small. If it's too big, she will say, it's too expensive, which is the second problem. We will have this condition everywhere, up to using. Why is that? Because it's too expensive has a completely different meaning on each mindset stage. Here is like, yeah, I'm seeing what you have. The plan is too big. This is too expensive. This is, I thought that the plan was okay, but I don't understand it, so I'm not going to use it. So it's too expensive. And the same at integrating and at using, it was good until it was not. And now I'm using it less because my context changed and now I can only use it half of the time and it became expensive. So don't start looking for, again, like the same as we optimize the chat box, don't optimize the price. The user is saying it's expensive as a byproduct of this being in red, of this not working. When you have perfect fit, they are willing to pay more. So in that situation, price is not the problem. The rest of the product is the problem. But the way they express that in most times is through, this is too expensive. Also, you can't collect that feedback on the exit form. Like, okay, like, why are you canceling? It's too expensive. Without knowing, yeah, but who are you? Where are you in the mindset stage? In the mindset funnel. Because they mean different things. But it's like, but what about price? Like, so we, instead of asking what is the best price, we should ask, why does it look expensive to you? To understand this. But there are some times where maybe we want to change the price. When? Look at this target condition. She feels it's for people like me. Like I'm a beginner. Okay? And we talked about positioning the other day. Well, price is one of the strongest positioning tools. As in,
If this is for beginners, you expect it to be cheaper. But if this is for pros, you expect it to be expensive. What we do, we are the best and the cheapest. I'm sorry, but that doesn't work. Yeah, but other companies are doing that. Again, don't look at the default. Apple started releasing really expensive things and built a reputation of this is really good. Now they can release a low-end model and it's really good and also it's cheap. Great. But if I don't know you and you say we are really good and we are cheap, I don't know about this, but I know about this. And cheap means it's not good. And because I don't have proof otherwise, then I will go with it's not good. So use price as a positioning tool. And the expensive thing is a byproduct of you failing to do something else. Now, we are concluding the pull by design like definition of everything. So we have the funnel that we designed, where the DSpace CI is mapped with the CI map, the perfect fit with the perfect fit map. And now for the adoption journey, we have both a way to represent that with numbers, the mindset funnel, and the target condition list. That right now is the adoption target condition list, but in next talks, we will see how to also add things from these two, so all the target conditions, so we have a single checklist that help us know if everything is aligned end to end. Great, and now let's grab pull by design, like the definition of everything, before we start looking for how to implement it. And let's compare that with the current way of doing things right now. And that is called the budget journey. That will sound really familiar to you. Problem awareness, research, consideration, purchase, retention, right? What do the books say that you have to do? Here you have to educate the market that they are like losing money right now, but they don't know it. Then we have to educate the market that we exist and that we are great. And once they visit us, persuade them to try, as in push, persuade them to buy, as in push more, and then persuade them to stay. And we do all these things that we mentioned before. So all push, all the way down. What does it happen in reality? In reality, we say you switch when you are unable to do a task. When I'm unable to do a task, the very first thing that I do is I search for all the defaults. So no, you don't do research of every potential solution out there. You research the default solutions and then start trying them. So if we are a non-default, like these two things don't connect, like they're in another lane. And when this if this fails, then we have a desperate CI. But they don't follow this funnel. So how do we do that? And this is what we have, like a more informal version. Let's make the formal one. It's not problem awareness. It's the user has to be aware that I'm unable to do something and no default solution is working for me. Now he's ready to switch to you. What do? No, we don't try to educate everyone. We just look who is there. Stop trying to convince people that they have a problem. Find the ones that have a problem and help them. And we align the product with them. So we solve this. Now, we were talking about product awareness. Make them aware that we exist. What they are doing is they are researching non-defaults because they run out of defaults and nothing seems to work. What do? You just have to be there. You don't need to push. You don't need to make great ads. They are desperate. They will take anything that you throw at them because it's like, look, I need to solve this thing and I can't find a solution. So it's just about being there, not about doing fancy retargeting campaigns. Where are they? If we don't know who they are, we don't know where are they. And then they are by the door and they will do the funnel. What do? We have to fulfill all the adoption target conditions. Get them on green. How? Find which ones are red and remove them.
how do we do the details of this? Okay, so we spent the first 4 talks understanding what is this thing, why this thing makes sense, and why this thing doesn't. The next 4 talks are going to be about, okay, how do we find our desperate CIs? Who do we talk to? What do we do? How do we create this perfect fit? How do we, once we have the desperate CI, understand the target conditions, if they are fulfilled or not? How do we solve them? All of that in the next 4 talks. Look at this. The goal of all of this is not what we tend to do, that is we release something, and if they don't like it, we force them to like it. No, it's we look for people that need help, and we find the best way to help them so they can pull. And that is how you get to product market fit. Thank you very much. Quick challenge. First, watch this video because it complements what you just listened to, and yeah, they play well together. 2, do it for you. Imagine that you are a desperate CI, one of the ones that you map, so you get in their heads, okay, I'm that user. And now, honestly, go through the list while going through your product and see, like, is this red or is this green? And that in itself is going to help you a lot to understand what's going on. Of course, you are not the user, unless you are, then it's more valuable, but you are not most of the time. So we will have to talk with them, but you also have to get familiar with this. You have to try it, right? So you can get it here, pool.tips/adoption TC list. Obviously inferring here that there will be another TC list that will have the other conditions that we mentioned. But this is really good to start. And again, as always, this is a Google spreadsheet, so top menu, file, make a copy so you can get it. Hey, how was the session? You can show your pool liking it, or if you have any doubt, leave a comment below and I will make sure that it's replied. Thank you very much.